This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your live market review, Thursday, August 14th, 2023. Getting started here a little early. Going to go back to doing some of these live recaps. I think they're really good. I can record a couple minutes for the shorter reviews if people can't catch them, but also then we can talk about the actual stocks in the market as it's playing out. I think it's beneficial for everybody who's involved because, again, you can ask questions when you have questions about certain stocks. And again, I will usually start a little early to get people involved, then I'll do the recording and then end it with a lot of open questions. I think a lot of people typically enjoy the end part, honestly, the most, because again, you can watch the reviews and get the levels and know the stuff, but it's the psychology. It's the, what did we learn today? What are we looking at today? What are we paying attention to? What should we be seeing for next week, tomorrow? What's coming? All the little things that make trading oh so much fun. And if you know what week it is quad witching OPEX for September. Awesome. If you're familiar with such, you know that it is an absolute, I don't know, OPEX can just be very confusing at times, and they do a good job at that. You know, you think you got a home run and they grab the fly ball at the warning track. If you're trading around your positions, it's amazing. You're doing great. If you are all in all the time, not trading around them, well, then it's going to be confusing. And if you're not familiar with how this works, again, check out my YouTube channel, Options Expiration, aka ChopX. You're probably listening on YouTube potentially at this point. Yeah, Back to Basics series, ChopX. I mean, I could just let this play if you guys wanted, but I don't think that's the value, honestly. So if you have any questions, again, reach out. Always here to help. I appreciate all the love, support, the generous donations. Some of you guys are absolutely killing it, and some people are struggling. And guess what? If you look at life from the point of that struggle is personal, without struggle, intention, there is no growth. Everything is happening to you for a reason, to grow. If you don't know how to manage discipline, well, guess what? Then you don't deserve to have big amounts of money and abundance, right? Like the universe is preventing you from getting rich because it knows you'll get a bunch of money and get and do what? Give it all away. People go, what the hell does that mean? Think about it. You don't not deserve, that's maybe the wrong word, but it's not going to play out in your favor until you can maintain abundance. Because I think the worst thing can happen is what happened to me when I first started trading, made a ton of money, changed my lifestyle, thought I was living top of the hog, and then guess what? Gave a lot of it back, and it changed everything. That was hard. That was really, really hard. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I would like to be in that position. It's like, would you? All of a sudden you had higher expenses, higher expectations, higher lifestyle. Now your mindset and definition of yourself and self-image completely gets explode. Like, that's hard. People go, why are you a good teacher? And it's like, I've made every fucking mistake. Excuse my language. You know, that survival instinct, the ability to survive and ultimately thrive is key. Again, if you want big dreams and goals, don't be surprised when you have big heartaches, big troubles, big issues along the way. Because again, if you're asking for greatness to be big, then the universe is probably going to show you everything you need to show, especially in trading. I love how people just, have this like gambling mindset. I'm like, if you live with that mindset continuously, maybe you will hit it rich. And if your goal is to hit it rich and bounce, go right ahead. But if your goal is to sustain wealth, grow wealth, manage the market for what it is, then you know what you got to do. You got to be like a baseball player. 300 gets you in the Hall of Fame. You got to do things that are consistent. So on that note, 2:15, letting folks roll in. Does anyone have any questions before we get started? I will be paying attention in the Friends Trading chat room on the Discord room. Link is in the description below if you're interested in joining the Discord room. All I ask is if you join, please introduce yourself. Why are you here? What are you here to learn? What can we do to help you? If you come in and you're quiet and you don't say a single thing, I'm going to assume you're a bot, and my friends that are the moderators are going to boot you. Again, this is not a place to be passive and say nothing. If you're here to learn, great. You're here to provide insight, awesome. Just remember though, if you're newer or you've come in here and you're starting to try like teach people how to trade in your style, all I ask is that you provide evidence, you drop charts, and you stay involved. If you're just going to say, hey, watch me, look at this, I'm going to do that, and then you disappear when you're wrong, because again, wrong happens. I don't have a problem with being wrong. I have a problem with people who post stuff, say, hey, I look at this trade, and then they disappear. Or, hey, this is my thinking, but then it doesn't happen, and they don't go, well, did we own it? Did we talk about why? Did we explain to people? Or did you what was your thinking? What happened? Again, the simplicity of it is that own it. We try to own it. People are like, oh, the market didn't tank today. And it's like, I guess it's OPEX. After the close, you had China did a 25 basis point rate cut for their deposits, dropped a couple $100 billion into their markets, and yeah, you got the rally. Could you have predicted it? No. So sometimes that's just the reality of it. It's literally that simple. What could you have done different? Known the future news, right? Like you cannot be mad about that. You cannot be mad about it. But what did I say earlier in the week? People in the Discord room, I thought Thursday afternoon typically would be the best opportunity to reload shorts completely. If you did that, so far so good. If you got in a little early, you got stopped out, or you got in a little early in your patience and you gave yourself layering, then you're just, okay. If you're swing trading, it's like day trading. If this is a 10-minute chart, does the first candle have to go immediately in your favor? Well, think if it's the daily. Does it have to move? No. It's all repeating patterns. Repeating looks exactly the same, just different time frames, right? So we'll talk about it. We'll get into it. It's almost 2:15. Any other questions before I kind of do the record and do the rant for the beginning? So if not, I will get it going. So final piece. Forever hold your peace. So looking in the chats, nothing here. OPEX is fine. Yeah. Wu-Tang. While OPEX ain't nothing to beep. Yes, it ain't nothing to mess with. It's hard. OPEX is hard. I've seen more people get their clock clean by weekly options during OPEX and just get totally wiped out. Totally. Look at the VIX. We got the VIX filling the gap. You got all sorts of fun stuff here today. So no questions. I'm going to go into recording real quick, do my live recap or the daily market review. At the end, I will stick around, ask questions if you have something referring to the actual stock we're in. If you're going to interrupt and ask me about something that's not in the actual flow of the recap. And again, the flow is usually, look at the description. I try to keep it in the same order every day. You'll see. Like, again, ask a question if it's very pertinent to a particular stock. If not, again, we can talk about it at the end. I can have all the time in the world. So let's do this. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market review for Thursday, September 14th, 2023. Hopefully you're having a great day. You are not getting too, seasick from options expiration as it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Again, a lot of us thought that we would see probably more down action, but after the close, you had China stimulus, you had the PPI, whatever. Market was pulled higher, in my opinion, just to knock people out. So on that note, got to sneeze. Never mind. Keep going. Yeah, we'll see. It's ChopX. We talked about early in the week that maybe the Thursday afternoon might be the best day to start reloading shorts completely. There we go. Got it out. And it was. So at this point, if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Hit me up if you want to join the Discord room. Link is in the description below. I appreciate all the love, support, the generous donation. Some of y'all are absolutely killing it, as I've said. Some of you guys are struggling. Struggle is real. But again, appreciate the struggle. Take the time to learn from it. Do not have to be the person who makes the same mistake a dozen times. Again, if you want to join the Discord room, links in the description below. If you're new to the channel, check out the YouTube channel. Awesome. Back to basics. Watch the videos on option expiration. I'm telling you, it's well worth it. Also, follow on Twitter. You guys know that deal. Check us out on our website as well, thetradingagent.com. Love it. Please read the books. If you click on the links, I think I make 3 cents, but whatever. Read the books. If you want to jump to Interactive Brokers, I told people I had an old account there. Haven't used it in a while. I'm going to be moving more money there because guess what? I don't trust Schwab. Some of these brokerages might go belly up. Use the back to basics, real estate information, all the fun stuff. And again, don't forget the Marcus link. If you're not getting 5.3% somewhere, high interest rate yields right now, you need to be getting it because inflation is eating you alive. All right, Fed Watch tool. I'm amazed how people don't know this and they're like, oh, did you see the Feds are going to pause next week? It's like, well, use the Fed Fund Futures. This has been telling us there was going to be a pause for what seems like forever. Forever? Yeah, forever didn't seem so long. But you know what I'm saying? Like, this is going on. And people are like, oh, when's the next hike? I think someone was saying this today. Like, yeah, maybe not. No, I don't think there's a hike out there. Maybe, again, we're moving into the pause and then cut's coming at some point. Again, the market's going to do what it's going to do. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Bitcoin, seems to be oversold rally. Again, we talked about this. Like, I don't trust it. Oil. All right. This is what's getting interesting. Oil rising, right? Today's action, PPI, all the talk of oil prices causing inflation. Watch the action. Now, I'm not saying you can't get up into the 92 level, but I'm not shorting oil directly. I would short oil service because they look weaker as oil rises. And you'll notice this if you ever trade gold in the miners or certain sectors, material versus the actual exploration or driller or whatever, or miner. Watch oil. I don't know how much higher it can go, but I do love the short in oil and gas. Gas is oil and gas names. So let's get into the dollar. Oh, sorry, I wasn't even ready for it. It's like, stop it. You stop it. You silly. Dollar. We talked about, I said this a million times. I thought we were going higher. People go, oh, the collapse of the dollar's coming. It's like, well, if the dollar's going to collapse, there's probably going to be some other currencies that's collapse. And usually before a currency collapse, it actually screams north. Having this debate with a lot of doomer and bloomers, whatever boomer doomers. Yeah, boomer doomers. Older people are like, oh, dollar's going to see, the world's going to end, blah, 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 blah. You know, old folks who are like blaming the younger generation. Again, we can have that debate somewhere else, but reality is the dollar's going higher. Like China will collapse before the U.S. does, in my opinion. Europe will collapse. So people will come back to the dollar, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the dollar will survive with strength. We don't know that, but we do know the dollar's going higher. So far, so good. We've talked about the volatility. The TLT, people go, well, the PPI came in higher. CPI, why are the bonds not going higher? Because maybe it's already priced in. Maybe people are looking forward. Remember, data that comes out is rear looking. Again, we like bonds down here with tight stops. It makes sense. Does it make sense to you? VIX. People are saying, oh, people are anticipating the end of the world. Well, the VIX ain't acting like it. Today's action, I honestly thought we'd hold here. Made another new low in the VIX. Okay, complacency is on fire. Keep it on. It just makes sense to buy puts. So give yourself time. Please stop playing weeklies. Don't do out of the money that you don't know. Ugh. So many people make the stupid mistake. If you're going to trade options, they trade them poorly. The VIX. Said this gap would fill. Da-da-da-da-da. SPY. Did a post earlier today, said somewhere in this like 450, 451 area. There you go. Is this a novice gap trap? Keep an eye on it. I don't think this is going to hold up, in my opinion. Q. Same thing. Chopping around, trying to hold the trend line. When's it going to break? IWM, we talked about holding the 200-day for now. Chopping around. This thing looks like crap. It's going to break at some point. DIA seems to get stuck under the 350 range, 351. So far, so good. Gold. Hey, Dan, when should I buy it? Wait for the Fed to pivot. Do I have to say it every damn video? Yep, I do. People are like, I want to buy gold. But wait. Now, again, it could chop around, but the best opportunity, straight line move, is going to be when the Feds pivot. Does this make sense? If it doesn't, go watch previous videos. I will literally record a video of a chat and I'll send it to you. But ultimately, it'll be like, leave metals alone. Silver. Oh, the silver spec is this and that. It's like, man, maybe we're due for a bounce. But do you not realize when the market gets absolutely pummeled and the VIX spikes up into the 50s, silver is like a lead balloon getting dropped into a lake. It couldn't go faster and lower. Do you really want to step in front of that? Do you? No, just let it play out. Miners, we talked about the miners leading down. They've gone nowhere. Nowhere. They peaked in May, right before the materials. And then what? GDXJ, same thing again. All these names, if you really want to trade them, good luck. You get your dollar, son, if that's what you really want. AG, nowhere fast. AEM, stuck. All these names look like, all right, maybe they could bounce, maybe they could flop, but do you trust them? I don't. That's the thing. It's like, if you don't trust the trade, why would you be in them? Newmont, we've said this thing should be holding these levels. So far, it is. You could argue W bottom. Maybe it gets up to 40. I don't know. PAAS has been just absolutely bludgeon. Just chopping around. These names are so hard. So when something's hard, move on. Taiwan Semi, we've talked about this and holding the 200-day chopping around. Just a matter of time before this gets beaten. Micron, if you're shorting up here, patience. Look at this. Novice gap trap. Multiple days. I can't tell you when it's going to fail, but this is like whew. Deep breaths. Define your risk. Easiest short ever. That simple. Got it? Good. AMD, we talked about buying this in the 100 range, rallying up to the 50-day. Now it's in between swing points. Let it flop. NVIDIA. Do you really trust semis when NVIDIA can't get off? I don't know when the next headline of the CEO selling more shares, but everybody and their mom for the company selling as many shares as fast as they can. OpEx, ChopEx. Just watch. See what happens. Intel, if you hit the 40 short on this one, Booyah. Look at that. Like booyah, Jim. I guess you could call this go Jim Cramer style. Booyah. Let's redraw it now because clearly, ding, 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 ding. Now multi-day chopping around. Even with the market up today, look what it's doing. Whole lot of nothing. SMH. Same kind of thing. Chopping. Professional gap. Chop, chop. I mean, this is the thing so hard about trading. If you don't understand how chop works, what are you doing trading? It's like, do you trade the 10-minute? Does it ever chop? No. Adobe. What's it doing? After hours, it's flat. They had their earnings. Basically flat. But here we go. Hit the 1618. I think it's toast. Apple. Toast. But again, can it hold here? I mean, it just goes from 189 down to 175. And people are going to go, oh, it's bullish. Is it called reloading? Is a downtrend only one direction the whole time? Patience, because it feels like it's about to break. Amazon, if you shorted today, all day held up. Then at the close, dink, posted earlier, watch. It's probably going to be a doji. Oh, but why does this area matter? Zoom out. Ding, 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 ding. You know it. You know how this works. Support equals resistance. Let's see what happens. Now, could it go a little higher? Of course, they could trap out. They could bull trap and make a new high and get people all bullish and then pull the rug. CRM, we talked about shorting up here post earnings. This area makes sense. Just be patient. Guggenheim, the Goog, riding the lightning as we call it, riding the upper channel bound. Keep an eye on it. Meta, I mean, I like these names for shorts. This one's a little harder. I don't really have a short on this in my mind, but I mean, if it gets up into this, I don't know. If you see a 320 handle on it, I guess 319, that would be the easy one in my opinion. Let me know, again, let me know if you got any questions as we're going around. Microsoft, here we go, getting up into our little zone. Not surprising. NDAQ, I saw this one basically down all day and then it rallied into the close. It's like holding on. It was a XDiv trying to hold on. MicroStrategy, again, chopping around. I think this, I mean, it's not really showing you much love. This 100-day at some point will break, and then here comes lower prices. Netflix and chill. If you shorted up here, high five, leave a comment in the video. I'm genuinely curious who else has shorted this, because again, it was a thing of mastery. I'm going to remove that trend line. It don't matter no more. But look at that. Complex head and shoulders. 2 left shoulders, 2 right shoulders. Kapow. Roblox, we talked about. Dead cat bounce would get squeezed at some point. And then what? Goodbye. Well, it came right back to the bottom. Leave it alone. Chop, 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 chop. Chop, 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 chop. Tesla. Hit the upper, breaks, hits the trend line, hits our upper bound. Again, is it going to break out? I don't know, but it is an easy short with tight stops. Does this make sense? Why stops are your friend? Letter X. All right, here come the China names. Whee! Going nowhere. Nucor got a nice little bounce today. Okay. Cool. Caterpillar. Oh, God. Scott, get the fuck out of here with Walgreens. Are you really that egotistical that you need to interrupt my video to tell me about Walgreens? I don't care. We had this rant. Jeez, it's sad. Caterpillar. We talked about M-Top. Well, look what happened with ChopX. Rally. Yeah, sorry. Get out of here. No one cares about Walgreens. Jesus Christ. Look at this little M-Top. Now, here's the hardest thing sometimes, right? Look at the past. This is what I was telling people. Like, trade around your position. Have you not seen this before? Yeah, you've seen it before. And if you don't trade around, that's okay. But give yourself time. Like, don't sit here and go, well, it's going to collapse tomorrow. Because the reality is, does it always? No. VALE. Interesting again. China, stimulus. I mean, I would really want stimulus. I guess they did throw money into the market. But they did throw money, and they did a reserves 25 basis point cut. Which, again, I mean, people realize, like, how good is China? Oh, they just have to continue to cut, try to hold the economy together. Remember, their unemployment rate for people under 25 is, I think, 51% now. Okay, keep an eye on this. Again, I mean, material names were due. Here you go. Arrow. We've talked about this name, like copper, leading down 200-day at some point. It looks like it's due. Man, I don't know. I think I want to block Scott's comments. He always talks about stuff that just like, why would, like, you just talk to someone for hours and you're like, why would you do that? Oh, I got to do it. Here I go. I'm right. Yes, you'll be right sometimes, but is it worth the risk? I just don't get it. CCJ, blow off in motion or uranium upside endlessly. It's tough. Let's take a deep dive real quick into the monthly. Looks good. You had the breakout and consolidation. Maybe we're getting close. Again, I don't really have a position on uranium. I thought it would flop because guess who, what's her name? Kathy Wood was buying it at the highs. She's pretty notorious for buying high and selling low. We'll see. CF, we've talked about these names. We love ag, but it's just going to chop around, and I think it's going to get some retests of the lows. Mosaic broke trend. Now bouncing back up, not surprised. All this is OPEX action, not surprised. And again, then you get the China stimulus, like perfect timing, guys. NTR chopping around. AA, aluminum. You think this would be on fire? This thing has just been burned. We'll see. I mean, again, I think if the market does get flopped, commodities probably should hold up. The XLF. Interesting action today because, again, it opened, did a little, chop around, and then it just kind of chopped in the afternoon. 35, are they going for the round number? Are we going to go back to the retest of highs? Tough to know. We did talk about banks having some potential bounce, like especially JP Morgan. I thought 20-day was going to be good, but it's looking more like the 50. That's the original thought, was the 50 at some point here, and we didn't really get it. So do your own diligence on this one. These are hard sometimes because they, you go from 160 down to 140. People are going to buy, and then you have OPEX. Then you have, all sorts of things. Again, things that you can't control. What do we say? Like, you got to be really careful shorting things at lows, right? Well, here comes good old Morgan Stanley. Zing. We talked about this being a piece of junk. I mean, it went. And then at W bottoms. Okay, now you're at the 200-day. What's next? 200-day. Again, like this feels very much like panic action, right? We'll see if they continue. Goldman, I'm happy it popped. I mean, honestly, like we talked about, like I'd love to see it break the channel, but if you're going to short financials, it's better to short them on a pop. It's like Caterpillar. Like if you shorted today, it makes sense. If you're short on the lows yesterday, headache. Carry, chopping, 20-day. Again, these don't really look that good. XBI, we talked about bios, dead. It just doesn't look right. Let's get into solar and then wrap it up with oil and gas. And then I'll stay on for the free mic. I'm not surprised that these names are chopping around here. We've talked about solar is just dead money. We'd love to see it pop, but it's not really happening. ENPH, dead. Sedge, dead. First Solar, we did talk about it hitting down here. Look at today, a little inside day with the market up. Once it breaks this 170 level, it's game over. HYG is interesting because corporate debt just did nothing today. Like a little doji. USO, now let's talk about oil and gas real quick and then end it there. Oil made a new high, hitting the 0.618. Let me see if this is the fib that I was thinking it would be. No, that's not it. Because that fib was drawn to there. Let's draw it to there. Again, I don't really even like charting USO that much. Just keep in mind, I mean, everyone knows the 90 level. 90s, everyone's talking about it. Just keep in mind, like hopefully you have the sense now that you've been trading long enough that when you hear the market talk about something as a winner, it's awesome, it's great. Look at oil. You got to be thinking in your mind, oh crap, who's selling? UNG again, going nowhere fast. Nah, whatever. XOP, again, if you shorted in the 154s, look at this thing. Like somebody was distributing, in my opinion. We'll see what happens. I mean, tight stops, easy. Retest. You bought the drip down in the 9. Shit, down. I got a 937. You bought a 940. It's still looking pretty good with that close. ExxonMobil, as we talked about, hitting the monthly trend line. Is it going to break out? I don't know. It's tough. That volume doesn't really confirm it, but we'll keep an eye on it. Oxy, trading in the good old Buffett covered call zone. He's probably reloading his covered calls at some point, selling them, if you know what I mean. PXD, this doesn't look strong. It's not holding up. It's holding up, but it's not like breaking out as oil goes higher. There's a lot of names that are causing a lot of, EQT is another one. Like, it doesn't make sense. Oil, gas, they don't really look like the drillers are not leading up, and they're being sold. When they're being sold into oil and gas strength, you got to be careful. All right, we'll end it with Flex LNG. I think we're a natural gas exporter, so at some point. All right, if you have any questions, please reach out. Again, I appreciate all the love, support, the generous donations. Join. If you need to move your money, just be prepared. I think there's going to be some brokers at some point that flop. Interactive Brokers, to me, has been stable, been around. If you have any questions and want to chat, Calendly link, 30 minutes. Let's talk about it. If you have any questions about any stock, leave a comment below, hit me up, reach out, and like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I appreciate it. And share this. If you watched this far, please share this. This is how you get people who really need this. When the student's ready, the teacher appears. All right, I'll keep the live chat going. All right, live chat is still going. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? Let's do this. If not, I will wrap it up. Not many comments in the comments below other than Scott talking about fucking Walgreens again, which just makes me want to like reach through the monitor and go, are you fucking kidding? Like that's what you're coming here saying is like, look, I told you Walgreens would bounce. Okay, sorry, WBA. No, we talked about, yeah, it could be oversold, but is that the best trade out there? Is that the best trade? Okay, I guess. All right, I guess. Oh, but the volume's down here. Yeah, I tried to explain to you. Yeah, it had volume here and rally a little bit, then it's just like sometimes you talk to people and they don't even realize, like, you give them the answers they want and then they don't listen. So why waste my goddamn time? Again, I don't trade in the trash bin because I've done that. And when I've been wrong, I've got absolutely annihilated. Annihilated. Because you don't know what's going on. You're playing with fire. How does this not make sense sometimes? I can't draw the picture any more clearly. That at some point when you play with fire and you gamble and you play with crappy stocks, again, maybe this is COVID or this is like the market's like should be ripping higher. Great, maybe so. But the trash floats last, and if you want to play that game, I just feel like I'm a broken record. And at some point, I'm going to absolutely just boot you because you're not listening. You're not listening. Again, you're trying to prove your own ego. And I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. If I learn a lesson, I don't need to step my finger back in the fire and go, well, I'll try it this time. Because I'm more worried about preserving capital, not trying to get rich and hit home runs. Like how do I say this without saying it for the 17th time in these videos? It's like the same person. Like, what are you doing? Cheap stocks are cheap. Okay. You got to do what you got to do. Stick to the leaders. Forget the garbage. Thank you. All right. NPC. I got you, Jay. I got you, brother. Let's check this one out. Good old marathon. For some reason it's not all saved. Did they change names? I think you're fun with drawings. Keep in mind, so we've seen the game of trapping over channel highs. That looks like the case. Let me duplicate this to all MPC charts. Again, we always like to start on the monthly. Oh, wow. Wowzers. Okay, this has been on fire. 4 straight green months. 105, 150 marathon. Okay. Let's check out the weekly. All right, little doji on the weekly. Okay. I kind of like this because it feels like if you could see the future. This is the head. So maybe you drop back down and then rally and flop. Scott, it's not tough love. It's just like you want help. And then you're like trying to show me like, hey, you're wrong about that Walgreens. I was like, yes, we talked about it could bounce. We talked about it being oversold and their volume, but you're not listening to the bigger point. You're trading from the perspective of trying to like do things the hard way. The hard way. But again, you can set your stops, define your risk, but I've seen these issues with these stocks, and all of a sudden you set your stop and it opens at 15. And now what do? You're going to hold it for the next year, and then it goes to 8, and then it's gone. That's what happens. It's happened to me before. So I don't play that game. I hope it pops $3 or $4 for you. Great. Awesome sauce. But you're not learning the bigger lesson here. And so at some point it's going to burn you. That's what the market does. This is tough, Jay. I mean, you guys, if you're oil and gas shorts, it makes sense. Let me see if the fibs line up with support. Kind of. Let me share this one. Duplicate all charts. It's not tough love, man. It's like you make that mistake once or twice. You just don't do it ever again. You just don't. Yeah, no, I get it. No, trust me. I know the OIH. I know all that stuff. XLE. Very familiar with all of them. Keep an eye on. I mean, it's just channel high. And so I guess the biggest thing that I would pay attention to is that we have seen when a channel becomes very clear, right? Here's an example. Sometimes they do this. Sometimes you break above it to fail. Does this make sense? It's really more of a mechanism for trapping. Do we have to do that? I don't know. Because usually the third time is the charm to break out, or the third time is the break or to break down. So, I mean, again, I would rather short this than buy Walgreens, in my opinion. If you're looking to swing, it's more safe. But, I mean, it's all relative. I mean, that's the thing. Like, when we jump into the XOP, right, oil and gas names, like, you're at resistance. Could they break out? I mean, could they fake out? Could they reel everybody in? Because the headline of oil at $90 gets people so excited. Again, I believe in demand destruction because I've seen it many times. I mean, when a recession comes, people don't buy more oil. Now, I know, now I've said this, go on record 1,000 times in previous videos. I don't think you're going to get negative futures like COVID. But are you going to be surprised if the actual oil drops down to 50, 40? I don't know. 60? I mean, we don't know. We don't know what the price will be. But there will be a time to buy oil later when the Feds pivot. Oh, my God. Any other questions? Yeah, Jay. I mean, they're all those names look fine to me. It's just they're all doing the same thing. I mean, honestly, like PXD looks better because it just seemed to have defined its top, and it looks like it just can't get any love if you want to short. Or EQT looks worse, right? Like it looks like it's topped out and it's chopping out. You know, let me pull up some of my other oil and gas names. If you guys are into it, I'll pull up my other watch list and just go through the oil and gas names real quick. Let's check out good old Chevy. Yeah, choppy toppy. I like it. EO Jizzle. Yeah, same kind of thing. I mean, you can see like there's clearly we're into the upper range bound. Good old Devin. Devin the dude. Wow, that looks like crap. I don't understand what this question is. If there are a lot of people who buy shorts, what is the risk the market maker will screw them all? Buy shorts. You mean buy to close? Again, if the VIX is at 12, I don't think people are really shorting. Again, this misnomer that everyone's piling into the short is kind of a joke because the volatility index is showing you they're not that concerned. IMO. So this one's been acting better. I mean, Oxy is not ripping. I don't know. It looks like a lot of the other ones. It's just holding in this range. I wouldn't say Oxy is ripping. I would say Marathon is ripping. I would say IMO is ripping. Those are making new highs. All right, those are like breaking out. Marathon, so is this the oil corporation? This is so stuck out. I mean, I feel like one's the producer, one is the explorer. If I'm correct, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they all kind of look the same. Apache, jump on it. Okay, this one looks worse, right? Where's your friend BP? Did it even rally after their CEO stuff? Okay, kind of a little bit today. Again, we said watch the 38 level. Okay. Good old Charleston Heston. Okay, that's making new highs. Let me zoom out. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I mean, you've got some names breaking out, but here's the thing. OPEX, TOPEX. I'd just be very genuinely concerned that you might be seeing the top during. Let's keep going. Suncor. I got a few more. I mean, unless someone else has a question. Okay, yeah, that doesn't definitely look stuck. I mean, I don't know how you want to draw that one. You could expand that box out. Stop it. Yep, CVE. Another one. Semnonis Energy. Okay, so this is making, I don't know. There's a lot of them that look chopped. I'm just curious. Let's look at Enbridge and Fangbanger. Oh, God. And that's ugly. Fangbanger. I guess technically you're over, but you're not over the December highs. Again, you're not getting like, they're not all painting the same rosy picture. That's all I can say on that. September 20 MU puts. Do I still hold them? Yeah, I bought a few of them. Again, I don't go all in my account. I bought MU puts. I bought them, I think, for 70 cents. So yeah, still got those. I mean, I didn't buy a lot of them, but I will. Man, I probably should have bought more today, honestly, for MU. That's a good point. Again, when you buy something for 70 cents, I mean, I'm defining my risk. It's 70 cents. Right? I'm not buying 1,000 of these puts and going, "Ooh, I'm going to get rich." I'm just buying enough that, all right, if I buy 10, I'll buy 700. I'll roll the dice for $700. If it dumps, it could turn into $7,000. Maybe it turns into 3,500. I like the risk of 1 or 3 to 1 minimum. And if I really need to dump them, I can dump at 30, 40 cents. Yeah. Also thinking of averaging down. Well, let's talk about that, and then I'll go back into the XLE one. Averaging down is a question of risk profile. Like, do you really, like, are you defining your risk? Like, if you say you want to buy like some puts and you know in your mind, like, I'll let them go almost to nothing. Okay, well then you probably don't need to buy a ton of them. But averaging down, I would say more of if it confirms, then you break the bank with it. You can do that. And then you take your profits quickly, right? Like if you only got next week and all of a sudden it looks like Micron's about to flip the lid and this is a novice gap trap and it gaps down, I mean, you probably could punch it hard and take that really quick and then maybe take your cost basis out and ride some. There are times when you can punch options really hard and average down, especially if you're looking at a name where you just don't, in your mind, you're just like, okay, I'll buy a few. Like they're lottery tickets, right? Cheap options. Yeah, can you make 1,000%? Yep, done it. You guys know if you've been trading it. Very easy. So honestly, next week, if I don't even know what the 70s are at probably. So I bought the 71s. If I remember right, the 70 cents, 73 cents. I think I bought, what did I buy? I only think I bought 5 of them. I don't know why I didn't buy more today. I've kind of been in and out of the market, or in and out of the office watching things, knowing that the afternoon would be the best time. And I had just added a little cat. Probably should have done those puts. But I was looking at Amazon too. I don't know. I've got a hard on for Amazon right now. Probably stupid, but probably should have done some Micron. All right. So the question was, threw a question in the Discord, would you ever use the relative strike charts, LXE US oil, for instance? Thought it was pretty interesting. Again, Brian, I don't know how long you've been trading, but if any of the other guys want to explain this too, is that oil service leads the commodity. So the commodity can continue moving in a direction, but if the oil service names, just like gold miners, just like copper miners, just like uranium, you will see there will be a divergence in the action. One can continue going higher or lower, but big money, smart money will start selling or buying the service names before the commodity peaks. Think about why. Think about reminiscence of a stock operator. When is the best time to unload a driller, an exploration company, a miner? When the commodity is tanking or at the price that's relatively the peak? Like, think about it, right? Like if oil and gas are continuing to rise, why is the XOP just stuck? Who has the capacity to stop that? All of the amazing headlines on how strong oil is. Oh, it's going to 100. It's going to 150. Talk like Dracula or Russian that's Dracula. Why is the XOP getting stuck, right? You gotta like think about that. Now I could be wrong, and maybe it's compressing to go a little higher. I don't know. Right? But you gotta ask yourself those questions. Right? Let me look at oil real quick. Are they breaking out? We'll see. I mean, that the hardest thing that people have to understand is that being wrong happens. If you want to say that you can't short here, that's fine. But I'd rather short at the highs with the defined risk and an easy spot than to wait, because I've seen what happens. Apple. Let's wait for the gap to fill before you short more. Just wait. Well, if it's a pro gap, does it have to fill? Just wait for the gap to fill. Just wait for that level to happen. Excuse my language, that's childish. But that's my point, is that if you like the level, do not be surprised if news comes out. Good, bad, ugly, strong, you don't know. You don't know. Bonus. VIX down 9 out of 10 Fridays, but at a local lows they have held. What do you think of the VIX pop tomorrow? I don't know if you caught it earlier, but VIX finally filled the gap. And the VIX back in the 12s? Get out of here. I mean, if you're playing for the pop only tomorrow, I don't know. But I mean, playing for the pop to happen eventually, that makes sense. Yeah, you're sure. Right? Yeah, Brian, that's one of the things. Like, I learned that trading gold and silver in the miners, like, I'd be watching the commodity. I'm like, why are the miners not rising? Why does all of a sudden look like there's a freaking lid on the miners? And it's like gold still like climbing 1, 2, 3, maybe 5% over. And it's like, what the hell? The miners, which would lead going up and bottom first, would just all of a sudden, like, somebody was just like, you could smell, like, it's almost like, I was joking. Do you smell distribution? Does it smell like burning rubber? Like, it'd be like, why is the gold rising? And the miners, like, every headline out there was gold going to 1,200. I mean, this is back in the day. Gold to 1,500. And the miners couldn't get any momentum. And it was like, something is going on here. And you learn, just like Livermore talked about, something like people are using those headlines to distribute. Right? Because now you can sell all the oil names you want. Think about it if you're a big dog. Now, again, we don't know if it's going to break higher or not. Again, probability based. We're using swing points. We're odds. Again, define our risk. But if somebody has the ability to stop the junior oil names, who dis? Who dat? It ain't you and me. It's somebody with some cake. Someone who may have bought in the one at the lows like we talked about, which is a decent little area. Again, I didn't think we'd get this high, but again, I'm always willing to admit when I'm wrong. But I also said don't short these levels. But now up here, drip in the low 9s. Mm-hmm. I mean, how high? I mean, think of where's the drip at? I mean, would you be pissed off if you bought the drip at the 9s and it saw 15, 17, 18, 19, 20? I mean, it sounds pretty good to me. Low risk, define risk. Very simple. Very, very simple. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Again, this is my favorite part, is talking about this and just ragging on Scott, because I feel like I'm talking to him and he's like, hey, Dan, look at Transocean. I was like, okay, Rig, yeah, I remember that company. I hope it rallies for you. Great, cool. If you're right. And he's like, Transocean. I'm like, man, I just don't play in the dirt box. I just don't. Because I've gotten actually smoked. Again, we talked about all oil and gas names, yes. But it's like, look at Enbridge, right? Like ENB, like it's just acting like garbage. You don't know if you're buying. It's like Livermore talked about. What was the company, like that motor company? He was like, all the other motor companies were on fire and one just wasn't going anywhere. Somebody knows something. If the stocks are cheap, somebody knows why. Does this always make sense? Like, you got to think from like big money. Like, we're not somehow smarter than the market. Like, take the ego out and go, I didn't find the diamond in the rough. You're not doing that. You're basically getting you're finding money that's trading around it. And it's like, okay, Walgreens. I mean, it made sense. It's due to bounce, but how high? How much? I don't know. I mean, I think I'd sleep better at night shorting tech than holding Walgreens. Because what if all of a sudden they announce something? I mean, I've seen this a billion times. They announce something and it just goes kapow. And what you thought was a bottom with volume was people looking to dump before something bigger was coming. I've seen that so many times. And it's like one of those things like, and here's my compassionate speech to you. At some point, you will get burned. And it's just better to take the option off the table of getting burned. You don't need to like play in the fire. Like just play on low risk, higher probability stuff, and you can go bigger and you can sleep better and you're not sitting here worried. Because I imagine anyone who's playing this stupid stock is trying to read the headlines and go, what's happening? What's happening with Walgreens? What's going to happen? Right? Does this make sense? Because now you're really getting really stuck trying to figure out what the hell is going to happen from the news. Does this make sense? Like why this story of mine is like so passionate? Because now you're like, what's happening? Let me go read the news to figure out what's going on with Walgreens. The exact outlet that I don't want to follow and talk to get the answers. Oh, I can't verify anything on Walgreens. And some of you guys know, like I've had friends who worked for Big Five accounting firms. I would know the numbers. I would know what's going on. And the market would still go in a different direction or it wouldn't happen like I thought. And that's where at lows, I mean, every CEO should be a cheerleader. At highs, they're going to be a cheerleader. You just don't know. And what my biggest concern is that if you don't realize you could take a massive loss and you could ruin your year, is it worth playing in the sandbox? If Walgreens cuts their dividend, it could get a 20% haircut. Again, you talk like we know that for sure. We don't know that. What if they cut their dividend and say they're closing half of their stores and the CEO's been laundering money? I mean, I've seen a million of these things. You don't know. It could get dropped 50%. I mean, what's the stock worth? Nobody can agree on this. That's the problem. Retailers go out of business. So why would anyone be sitting here going, it's a value? We know this. Think about when you were a kid versus now. Remember Kmart? Right? Remember Sears used to be hot shit? Macy's used to be hot shit. Think about, I mean, it's such a hard space that nobody has any loyalty. They don't have any, what's the best word to describe it? Like, there's no reason to go, oh, well, they'll turn it around. Like, it's not like they have some sort of brand. I mean, it's a freaking pharmacy. It's not like they do anything special. It's not like they can, like, reinvent themselves. I mean, their best would be management and probably cutting dividend, laying off people, more security, because I feel like these kind of stores get robbed endlessly. It's just scary. It's just scary. Put doctors in the stores. I mean, what doctor wants to work at Walgreens? What kind of story is that? They spend $500,000 to be a doctor, and they're gonna like, oh, I'm gonna go work at Walgreens. Right. Okay. Well, again, we'll see. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? If not, but here's the thing: if they put doctors in the stores, is that like some sort of barrier to entry? Like no one else can do that? No, that's not like something they can patent. It's not something they can say, well, this is what gives us a distinct advantage. Rite Aid could put doctors in stores tomorrow. Car Drugs could put, are they still around? Could put doctors in there. I mean, again, I mean, there's this thing called, oh, they bought Rite Aid? Okay, cool. There's this thing called the internet where you can get prescriptions on the internet. Have you heard that? You can do medicine, teledocking. Ooh. So is that already wanting up putting the Rite Aids at doctors in store? I don't know. Who cares? This conversation, again, you could argue until you're blue in the face about what is the right or wrong strategy. What should they do? Who gives a shit? Move on. That's what there's better names. Yeah, there's just I hate, and this is the thing, what you're going to find out is that you end up spending more time trying to figure out what the hell's going on because you don't trust the stock. It's this amazing mental capacity, like suck. Like you're focusing on a stock that doesn't lead the market, potentially has fleas, potentially could go out of business, potentially cuts the dip. It's almost like, and maybe this might be the best analogy ever. You're in the dating world, and you're looking at this solid 8 that knows how to cook, knows how to clean. She's caring. She's loving. She's everything you want. But you're like, ooh, I need to go after that crazy 10. And she's bipolar, narcissistic, and she's going to make your life a living hell. And that's who you want to marry. But maybe that 8 is really a 10 with the personality. Like this is the kind of like problem that I tried to like equate this to, is like you're literally going after some of the hardest stocks to like understand and know, and you don't. Like they are bipolar, right? Good news could be bad news. Bad news could be good news. You don't know. Cutting the dividend, maybe the stock rises. Maybe it dumps. You don't know. What's that bonus? XLF, unusual volume key. No, you touched our financials, but pretty interesting after all that financial news have gotten this week. When you say financial news this week, what are you specifically talking about? Been a lot of rate hikes in foreign countries. This is hard. I mean, I thought this thing was going to die. Then the last 10 minutes, you had like a big trade where it just paired off. It's tough to know how much. I mean, are financials rising because interest rates are going up? I mean, that's sometimes the narrative there, right? The weekly's coming into the 100 week again. Monthly, yeah, I guess we're over the 20 month, but the month isn't over. Yeah, it's tough. Got to bounce. Hey, Eric, I think I'll go to Walgreens and buy some Band-Aids or something. I wish they sold liquor after listening that people actually want to trade the thing. I don't know if they trade liquor. They probably trade beer, though, or sell beer. I appreciate your love and support, man. Always good chatting with you. Been around for, I don't know, man. We've been hanging out for almost a decade now. CPI, PPI, ECB, yeah, hikes. Yeah, I mean, this is the hardest thing. Remember the China stimulus bonus after hours. I mean, I don't know how many billions of dollars they pumped, or yuan they pumped into their markets to stabilize them. But yeah, it's tough to know. And that's why I always tell people, like, sometimes, like, it's almost like, you know, we talked about this within OPEX. They'll find a headline to just crush everybody and then bring everyone back. And then it's like at the end of the week, the VIX is at the low of the week or near, and the market just didn't go anywhere, right? I'm curious real quick. Pull up the SPY weekly. What is it looking like? I mean, if this isn't an OPEX week, man, look at that. Little tight, little guy. Sometimes that's what it is. All right, I'm going to get rolling too. I appreciate you guys. Always good. I'm going to try to do more of these live market reviews. If you guys appreciate them, like them. Again, they take a little more time because, you know, I'll probably spend an hour each time, and then 15 minutes I'm going to try to pull and create the video so people who don't want to get all the goods. But yeah, I think I'm going to do some more of these. But if you really do appreciate it, like Scott, I've spent 10 minutes talking to you. You should share this with some people and share it so that someone else can learn, and then they can go, oh, I see why he doesn't like Walgreens, or you can be right. Maybe you'll come back in a week and say, look at it, it's at 24, and I'll go, congrats. If it gets there, sweet, fuck yeah. I mean, again, I don't have a position in it. I just try and explain like why I don't try to play in the mud like that. I've gotten burned too many times. But yeah, let's catch up soon. I love you guys. Again, appreciate the love, support, generous donations. Remember, this is a mental game. I'll just end it there. This is a mental game. Like, we knew ChopX. If you didn't trade around your position, that's fine. If you're in at the highs, you got to be patient. You just, hopefully, that's what you're thinking. You define your risk. You know exactly where you're at. You don't believe in certainty. You believe in probabilities. Because once you start assuming you can't lose, that's when the market will beat you down. Yeah, you can post those wherever. I don't care. I really don't. I mean, I appreciate it. Because again, it's like me. Like when I started getting into really trying to understand the markets, like I needed someone to help me. Like you can read 1,000 books on trading, but they don't really tell you how the market really works. Do you guys notice that? Y'all notice that? Like, what book really tells you how to like live and trade the markets? They don't. All right. Peace out, y'all. Have a good night. Bam. Look at W charts. Monthly it only looks like it is going down. Bad bet in recession. Don't even get us started. All right, folks. Thanks, Shannon. Later, Eric. Peace. Scotty.